We all know the story of Gideon, a man that was afraid that God greatly used. But what we sometimes forget is that fear really flowed in his family. I want you to remember when the story starts in Judges chapter 6, beginning with verse 11. Then the angel of the Lord, this is Jesus, came and sat beneath the great tree at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash of the clan of Abiezer. Gideon, son of Joash, was threshing wheat at the bottom of the winepress to hide the grain from the Midianites. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Mighty hero, the Lord is with you." God calls the things that are not as though they are, and that includes your life and my life. God looks at us and calls us what we're not. As a young boy who was very shy, and the idea of standing up and speaking in front of people was no way that was going to happen, God said, "David, you're going to be a great preacher." And I can remember thinking, God, I can't even stand up in front of anybody. God, you said I'm going to be a great preacher. God calls the things that are not as though they are. What has God spoken about you? Not just all the promises of the scripture, but what has God spoken to you? He called Gideon a mighty hero, a man that God was with. And Gideon, he felt like anything but. Now, just because God begins to speak faith over you doesn't mean that fear immediately leaves your heart. I want you to notice when God told him to go and tear down the altar of Baal and the Asherah pole in Judges 6, verse 25 to 27. Verse 27 said he did it at night because he was afraid of the other members of his father's household and of the people of the town. So he was still afraid. I want you to notice when it came time to attack the Midianites, God says to him in Judges 7, verses 8 to 10, he said, "Now, get up and go down to the Midianite camp, for I have given you victory over them. But if you," verse 10, "are afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah." And there he listened and he heard the story of a man's dream and he got courage. He was still afraid. And that fear went into the next generation. His son, Judges 8, verses 19 to 20, was afraid to kill the kings that had been captured. He was afraid. Now, beloved, at some point or another, you have to recognize all of us have to face fear. Even when God is speaking his faith over us, that doesn't mean that we're instantly transformed and changed. Fear still needs to get worked out. You say, well, how did God help Gideon overcome his fear? Well, if you look there in Judges 7, verses 9 to 11, he said, "Now, Gideon, if you're afraid to attack, go down to the camp with your servant Purah. Listen to what the Midianites are saying, and you will be greatly encouraged. Then you will be eager to attack." So he went down and hid in the bushes and listened to these guys talk about their dreams. And the fear left his heart. Don't be surprised if you're afraid. And don't be surprised if God understands that fear. And don't be surprised if God tells you the solution to that fear and encourages you.